Hey, good morning. It's Bob Negen, and in this episode of Real Retail TV, I'm going to explore the most common and costly mistakes I see retailers make. So I am here in Savannah, Georgia. We are getting ready to start the Platinum Mastermind Group. I see a couple. There's Mark Turnbull all the way from the UK and Jessica Betancourt from Massachusetts. Everybody's going to start rolling in a second. But I wanted to make this quick episode of Real Retail TV because I see this all the time, the most common and costly. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about not equipping your team with the tools they need to give your customers the service they deserve and to get the sales that you should. We were having a conversation last night about something that I created but have never used called the engagement-o-meter. You know, it's one of those little graphics where the needle goes like an old school gas tank gauge. But I would walk around, I would go to towns, a couple towns out west, a couple towns in Michigan, beautiful towns filled with lovely stores. And I would walk into stores, and they're great stores. People clearly put an enormous amount of thought and money into display, into inventory, into layout. But then their team doesn't give any kind of service. I was having a conversation last night at our opening reception, and Lewis, one of the owners of Pet Bistro, calls them the Roombas, right? So you know what a Roomba is? It's one of those vacuums that goes out and vacuums and then comes back into its dock. And he was calling those people Roombas. They stand behind the counter. When somebody comes in, if somebody asks a question, they might walk out onto the floor, but then they immediately return to their spot behind the counter. So if you're not giving your people the skills they need, and I'm talking about 3 types of training. I'm talking about philosophical, procedural training, the things that make your store go. Product training. So your team needs to know about what you sell. They need to be able to answer questions correctly, intelligently. They need to be able to do all those things. And finally, perhaps even most importantly, sales training. They need to know how to get out on the floor, engage your customers skillfully, ask good questions, recommend the right merchandise. Get your customers to this thing that we call the perfect purchase. But if you don't give your people those skills, you can't expect them to give your customers the service that they deserve when they're in your store. And you're going to lose out on a lot of money. You know, every customer represents potential. And when you give your team, if you teach them how to sell, you teach them how to respond to common questions, you teach them about the merchandise that you carry in your store, they're going to be more confident, they're going to be more skillful, and they're going to make you a lot more money. So if you don't have the Retail Sales Academy, if you're not using the Retail Sales Academy to train your team members on the right way to sell, to be skillful, to get your customers to this beautiful thing that we call the perfect purchase, I'd strongly encourage you, go to retailersalesacademy.com, check it out, see if it's a good fit for you. And if it is, make that investment. Give your people the team. Don't make that common and costly mistake. All right, everybody, I'm Bob Negen. I am super fired up for today's meeting. Mark wave, page wave. There we go. All right. I can't see you, Kelly. You're out of frame. But anyway, I'm going to have a great day. I hope you do too. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.